Now, this Greek word, and of course you'll immediately know where the English word comes from, mimetes. Mimetes is the Greek word. What do we have from that in English? Mimic. Mimetes. But now there's an interesting history with this word. Do you know that that word only came into Scripture through the Greek language? The Hebrew language has no such word at all. So that is why the Greek translation of the Old Testament does not contain the word at all. Okay? There is a word in Hebrew, and we'll look at that a little bit later on. And we're going to see how the meaning differs from what Plato, because Plato, this word mimetes, comes from Plato, Greek culture, which brought in the idea for the first time of an original and a copy, which is lesser than the original. Okay. So let's go to just a few. I see you've got your Bible open there, Rebecca, and ready to read. What about Hebrews 6 and 12 for us? And Steve, Ephesians 5, 1 and 2. And what about 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, Heinz? Pattern after me, follow my example as I imitate Christ. Okay, Nikki, did I give you one? No. Alright, so now this word, do you agree that this word causes a little bit of a, what does it sound like to you Paul is saying we should do? Try hard. Okay. Become like. Act. Okay, so there's a doing involved. Yes. Act in a certain way. So what does Christ become then in our current sort of understanding of this word? An example. And we must follow, imitate. Paul uses this. In fact, the King James translates mimetes as follow. Follow. But it's mimetes, it's mimic, it's imitate. Okay? Alright, now this leaves us with a bit of a quandary because the fact is, okay, there's your example. Nikki, cheers, good luck. Imitate it, and I'll come and check up on you next year. See how you're doing. How do you go away from here with what sort of feelings, Nikki?
Sounds a bit legalistic.
Yeah, a little bit of trepidation. Oh my word. Okay, I must imitate Christ. But now, I've already said to you that there is no such word in the Hebrew language. There is only a word that comes close. And that Hebrew word is the same word as being created. Okay, so the Hebrew understanding, now we must remember that what was Paul, nationality-wise? He was a Hebrew of the Hebrews, he says about himself. I was a Hebrew of the Hebrews. Why did they use the Greek language? Only because it was such a widespread language and the whole Greek world, the whole Roman world spoke it, and they could communicate with so many people. So that's why the New Testament was written in Greek. But you must remember that, like myself, I'm actually an African, and my native language is not English. Dis 'n ander taal wat julle glad nie eens sal verstaan nie. I was saying it's a language you wouldn't understand. Because I think in that language. And then quickly my mind translates it into English and I speak the English words. That's how it works. Although it's changing a bit now. But that is how it works. In our mother tongue we think and then we speak in the language that we are in, the community that we're in. Now Paul was a Hebrew, a Jew, and he spoke Aramaic He spoke Hebrew. And in his head, we've got to remember, hang on a minute, what is Paul thinking of when he writes mimetes? He's thinking of this Hebrew word which says to be created anew. So, in the Hebrew thinking, what is the copy of the original? What is the second one next to the first one? It's the same as the first one. And the third one next to the both of them? It's the same again. So the Hebrew word for mimic or for imitation, far from what we understand under it as a much lesser thing than the original, means an exact representation of the original. Wow. Hang on a minute. Now this leaves us with a further problem. Because how are you then to become Nikki, the one we gave the instruction to? How on earth are you going to get that right?
Well, when you were talking to Kat before, you talked about love, joy, peace, patience. Those things are the fruit of the Spirit. So you don't want the fruit, you want the Spirit.
Ah, wonderful. Wonderful. How on earth are we going to follow the Hebrew instruction to imitate Christ? It is impossible. Except if we put our Western mindset onto it and say, yes, that's right, the imitation is a lot less than the original, so we'll be okay. Because all we can manage is sort of a half an imitation of the real. Is that not so? That is not the mindset that Paul wrote in. He was a Hebrew. And what he meant was imitate Christ. It's have exactly this, be exactly the same as. Well, good luck in your own strength. You cannot even access that DNA. How am I going to do it? How does it happen?
The Holy Spirit.
That's right. It's like these little ones we were saying. Is that not so? He says we are being transformed into His likeness. This is from the Spirit. Right there in our second reading in 2 Corinthians. That's what it says. We are being transformed. We are not trying to imitate, squeeze, or whatever the case may be. Like Dale said to me the other day. I said to him, Dale, you have more hair than me. And he said, yes, you just got to squeeze it out. I've been trying, but it's not working. And of course, right there, this Hebrew understanding of the word mimetes, of imitation, changes everything. Oh my word, Lord, what Paul is instructing me to do is to be exactly an exact representation of the original. Impossible. Except if he is the one creating it. And what an amazing thing. There are so many instances in which the Greek language, we just read it and the English translation and then we go off with a certain idea. Is that not so? And it's completely wrong. Be ye, Nikki, an exact representation of the living God. And right at that point we just go, sorry, all I can produce is something that looks like the real thing. But once you come closer, once you bite it, you just realize, hang on, this is fake. Only God can make the real thing. And only God can make you into that which He instructs you, or like Paul instructs us to be. So today, as we take of these elements, it's just like that. It's Christ's DNA in you that needs to be woven into your DNA to transform you. That's what Paul is saying. Mimetes, imitation. In Hebrew, means the same as the original. I suppose we're more comfortable with the Greek thought, aren't we? the Greek approach, because it lets us off the hook slightly. But don't go for that. Listen carefully to what Paul is actually saying. And you'll find, often where he says that imitation word, imitate, right there, he also speaks about the power of the living God. Saying, it's always there in the same message. The transforming power. So the question is, are we being transformed? Not, so Nikki, how are you doing with the imitating? It is. How long did you spend on this, darling? Weeks? I think it was weeks. Yeah, about 2 weeks. Just to produce something that's fake. Quite interesting. How long are you spending? How much time are you wasting in trying, rather than getting down to the business of saying to him, Lord, transform me. Make me, create me again, like the Hebrew word says. Create me again, like yourself.
It ties in really well with John 15, verse 3 to 5. You are cleansed and pruned and ready because of the word which I have given you, the teachings I have discussed with you. So dwell in me as I dwell in you. Live in me and I will live in you. Just as no branch can bear fruit of its own without abiding vitally united to the vine, neither can you bear fruit unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever lives in me, I in him, bears much fruit. However, apart from me, you can do nothing.
You can do nothing. Wonderful, Dave.